going? And guys, Big Beard here. Welcome to the one and only episode, Big Beard Show, episode 148. Alright, listen. Tonight, I want to talk about something. Something that I've noticed, and we all know this, but to look around and to see things makes you prospectively go, wait a minute. Now, before I start the show and tell you what that is, I want to tell you that if you're going through these trials and tribulations and you're still doing this week after week, day after day, hour after hour, second after second, and you're thinking that you're failing, you're thinking that you're not doing something, you are. Now, I don't have to know you to tell you that every day that you can technically complain, you're doing, I don't know about better because I don't know what you're doing, but you're actually being rare by being alive every day. In other words, you get that chance, use it, try your best. I know it's always easier said than done, but I have went through some sorrow, struggle, strife, and I'm still going through this stuff, and I want people to understand that it is okay and it will pass, because I remember even thinking now and from past, my past, shall I say, past situations, I actually know that you can overcome almost anything, and you got to have faith. And like this right here says, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to this, I'm going to give this shout out here. Let me tell you something. Tonight we're going to talk about laughter and why it's the best medicine. Now, mixed in with that is a little kindness. I don't know if these lights will get in the way here, but I was feeling a certain way recently, and I won't get into it, but I was feeling a certain way, and nobody knew it. And my neighbor approached me, and he said, "Hey, we've been gone and out of state. They went out of state for a couple days. Whatever they've done, it's their, not my business. And we thought of you." And I'm like, "You thought of me?" I said, "I'm sorry. You must have stumped your toe. You must have had a flat tire. You must have hit a deer. Cussing." He's like, "No. We want you to have this." So, Dave, I don't know if you guys can make this out, but it says, when you can't find the sunshine, be the sunshine. I told you that I was somewhere. I was in a spot. Now, Dave didn't know this. No one knew this. It was just that day, situations and things that were arising. He calls me over. They pull in. I guess they came in. He said, "We thought of you here." We say, hello, salutations, and I looked after his house. I mean, I didn't do anything. He's my neighbor, so I just visually, everything's good. So with this being said, he calls me to the truck. He said, "We thought of you, blah, 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 thank you," and it was all very cool and serene, because what he didn't know, and I tried to tell him there, and Dave, if you're watching now, I want you to know that you didn't actually know that I was in his spot. I was just, and it was funny because it was happening that day, and no matter what it was, it's irrelevant. You came and you do it. So be kind. You guys is what I'm talking about tonight, and let's move back to the topic at hand, which is laughter and why it's the best medicine. Okay, so we all love laughs, right? We all love a good laugh. We all love stories. We all love things like... So I got one for you tonight. Let me tell you a true story. Well, almost, let's say, about 19 years ago. You could say 20, but it wasn't quite. I was in Iowa. I used to ride a Greyhound because I didn't drive. Excuse me. Clearing my throat there. I was on a Greyhound bus headed from Iowa to Georgia. I had went up there via a good friend that I call my brother, and I went up there to visit. Met a girl, turned out to be my wife. 20 years later, we're still together. So there's a story in between there. Anyway, I was visiting down here. When we first got together, my wife and I, boyfriend, girlfriend, it was kind of rough. I spent like 3.5 months away from her working. I spent like 6 months away coming back to Georgia, talking to her long distance. And then when I moved back, it was like I only seen her once a week. She was in school. I was new up there. I was just, you can just imagine. So one of these trips back, I'd come down to visit Georgia, and I go back to Iowa. And on one of these trips back, here's just kind of a funny story. Not the funniest ever, but I'm just going to tell it. I had an overlay at a Greyhound bus station for 4 hours. If you don't know what that's like, good for you. If you know what that's like, good for you. No, I'm saying you understand it. So here's the funny part. I smoked cigarettes at the time, so in order to be outside in a smoking area, you had to smoke. So I would smoke one and light another one because I didn't want to be inside this big, gigantic Greyhound bus station. I felt out of place. You could tell I didn't fit in. What I mean by that is the way I looked, the way I'm saying that everybody, it was like winter, starting to get chilly in places, and here I am in overalls, a cut-off shirt, bald-headed with just a goatee. Needless to say, you could tell I knew that I at least felt out of place. So, I'm outside, and I come in, and I have to go to the restroom, so I'm like, all right, that way to the restroom. And as I'm going in, this guy in a jacket came up to me, and he's like, hey, man, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing good, man, so I'm going to try to go to the bathroom, excuse me. So he steps in front of me. Now, he's got this long, I said jacket and like coat on. So I moved for a minute, he moves. He wasn't intimidating, but he was actually trying to grab my attention. So finally, I use the bathroom. And while I'm standing there washing my hands, he comes up and he opens up his jacket. This is one of these stories where you're like, what? So it's just like in a cartoon, I said. So he opens up his jacket, and here is all of these watches. And he's like, what watch do you want? Oh, you want some necklaces? Open up this one. Here's some necklace. I'm like, no. Thank you, man. Thank you. I said, I appreciate it. I'm just trying to be nice. So he takes a necklace out, and he holds it. And I notice he's holding it by the tag, and he's holding it up, and he's got the chain, and he's taking a lighter and lighting it. He's trying to tell me the tricks, how it's working. This is what you get. If it was black, it'd do this. If it's smoldered, it's trying to convince me that it's real. And I look up in his hand, in his fingers, and it says $14.99. Now, he doesn't see this, but he says, $50, man, $50 for you, $50. Come on, man, I gotta eat, I gotta do this. And I said, no, I'm good, man. I'm going to Georgia. I don't have much money. I'm telling you, thanks, man. And I'm just being nice. I said, and plus I see $14.99 on that tag. You must have stole that, dude. I said, get away from me, please. Come on. He said, oh, you caught me. I said, see, you're caught. I said, you can't say much. He said, no, you caught me. Okay, for you, $40. And I'm like, get away from me, man. So, I go about my business. I'm like, wow. Same place, within that 4 hours, I'm sitting in the same area, this bench by myself in the middle. I'd smoked like a half a pack of cigarettes at this point. And, the thought of smoking. Ugh. But, I'm sitting there the same 4 hours in a later situation, just sitting here minding my business, and this guy slides up to me. His knee hits my knee. He's like, how you doing? And I got a hat on, and I'm like, I'm doing all right. He's like, you doing all right, man? Where you from? I'm like, Georgia, man. I'm on my way through. And I have a little idle conversation with him. And he starts talking about drugs and everything under the sun about drugs, and starts convincing me that if I need anything, man, I got you. I got a pager. Now, mind you, this is like 03. He's like, I got a pager. And I said, yeah, no, I'm good. I appreciate it. And I'm just brushing him off because I have nowhere to go. I can't run. I'm at an overlay waiting on the bus to arrive. So he keeps on saying this and that, another. He says, can I borrow your lighter? I'm like, yeah, man, here. I'm knowing that if you're going out to smoke, I'll see him again. So he keeps talking about drugs and talking about stuff and where he lives and where so-and-so lives. And he knows these areas, and he's very, helpful in this game. Don't, yeah, I'll give you my phone number, you put in the code. Like, he was giving me all this, and I'm like, I'm good, bro, I'm good. So I look over, and I don't know, probably about 60 foot away, there's this big, I'm talking like Mr. T, Debo looking dude, looking right at me, and he's a sheriff. Or sheriff, he's a cop, I'm sorry. So he's standing there, and he's looking right at me, and I look up. I finally had looked up at this time, and he looks at me and points, like with his eyes, he speaks, and I got the impression he was like, do you know him? And I just shook my head no. So then he walks over, and this other cop walks over. This dude talking to me is still talking to me, needing me, blah, 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 you need this, you need that. And I'm like, I said I was good. He's looking so far down, well, I guess with his hat on and his bill, that he cannot see these cops coming. Now, I'm like, oh man, I don't mean for them to come over here. I was just shaking my head because dude was just talking, and I'm just standing there. I thought I was given the impression that I was just blah, 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 like whatever. So, but I guess what happened had to happen. He leans over, he's still talking, and at this point, he's literally saying stuff, he's naming drugs at this particular point in that conversation. And I just look up, and I'm like, these two cops are standing right in front of me, and now you can see their boots if they're standing at the ground, staring at the ground. This dude looks up, and he goes, up. And they're like, what are you doing? He said, I'm just talking to my man here. I've known this guy forever. I haven't seen him. Ain't that right? And I said, he said, we just have an idle chat. I haven't talked to this guy in 10 minutes. I just gave him a lighter and said, yeah, man, how are you doing? And I said, I don't know about anything. I'm just on a bus from Georgia, and I don't really know you, man. Now, you might say I threw him under the bus. I didn't know what was going on. And he said, but here's what happened. And that big, Mr. T looking dude, he said, yeah, we know. I said, you know? He said, he's in here every week harassing Greyhound riders, bus riders. And I said, wait, you know this guy? And they said, get out of here. And they called him by his name, and he ran out the door, but not before I said, hey, give me my lighter. And he looked at me, and his whole demeanor changed. He gave me his lighter, and he ran out. And I said, you guys said he's in here every week. He rides the bus every week? He hangs out in here? And they said, no. Look down. And I had to look down just a little bit through some doors, and they said he lives in that house right behind the station, and every week he is in here finagling somebody and trying to, I'm like, whoa. So then I tell him about the watch guy. I'm like, there's a watch guy. He's, that watch guy, yeah, we run him off, he's in here every week. And so I don't know if they knew each other or what, but those are the funny stuff. Like, once again, not the funniest stuff, but here I am, 20, 21 years old, Chicago, boom, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But anyway, that's just little stories. I'll tell you a quick one about my father. My father actually is one of the reasons why I'm not scared of the dark. But he's also one of the reasons I was. Let me explain really quick in these few minutes. Here's what happened. When I was young, I was scared of the dark. Everywhere you go, if it's dark in the corner in my house at night, I was scared of the dark. Absolutely did not want to go in the dark, and I was this way up until I was like 13. I was scared crapless. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's just how it was. But my father one time, when I was probably about, about 9 or 10, many moons ago, told me to go check the newspaper. Now, back in those days, and some of you might know this, some of you might not, we would get a newspaper with our mail. We had a newspaper box, and we also had a mailbox. Now, the mail in my world should not have been, delivered this late. Whether it was or not, he forgot the mail. It's about 10 o'clock at night. We have lights on the side of our house that illuminate the yard, floodlights. And he says, hey, boy, go check the mail. And I'm like, You serious? Yeah, get the paper. I didn't get it today. Okay. I didn't want to. I did all I could not to go out, but he made me go out. So I went outside. All the lights are on. He said, you know what? Go down there and get that paper. That may be ours at the neighbor's. He had me walk to the neighbor's yard, I'll go ahead and tell you. And it wasn't ours, and he knew that, but there's a reason for this. So I'm walking up this driveway. I'm talking to my dad as I'm walking away. I probably get 100 feet away, and I end up, talking to him like, yeah, I'm up here. Now, where I'm actually at in my, mailbox, you cannot see me, but I can see my dad once again. Now that I'm old enough, maybe 100 foot away, and he says, go down there and see. He had already got the newspaper and told me to go see if they accidentally dropped it in the neighbor's driveway, because there's one down there, and he goes, see if that's ours. I'm not thinking. Newspaper this time was just thrown out. It didn't have your name on it. So I go walking down there scared. I am scared. I'm walking the road. I am absolutely petrified at this, And he makes me walk and walk and I walk. And I go down and he said, you know what? That's not ours. I already got ours. Come on back. Now, at first I was at least 100 foot. Now I'm just guesstimating here 300 foot from him. At this point, we have to yell a little bit. Okay. All right. Well, come on back. Well, I turn around and he shuts these lights off. And he goes inside. At least I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Where did he go? So I just take off running. Bam! And I'm running back scared. I am so scared. In the dark, running. I can't see anything. I know we got a car in our driveway coming up. I'm wondering, where's my dad? What's going on? The lights are out. Is something get him? Oh, I'm scared. I don't know. And all these things are crossing my mind. While I still have the mail, which I did get, mind you, in my hand, and I'm running, and I get all the way up, I don't know, 20 foot from my door, and I try to slow it down, and I'm like, trying to calm down. I'm like, I'm good. I got my composure. So I got the mail in my hand. I turn the corner of my house to go up on my porch to go in my door, and the moment I step foot on my door, my dad screams at me, "Rah!" Scared the living crap out of me. One of those things that absolutely blew my mind, because as I got older, I'm glad he did it. I'm glad you had a laugh tonight. I'm glad everybody is listening to these stories. Laughter and wine's the best medicine. Why not? That's just a few. I'm going to have more of these, and I'm going to be able to pick through some stories that might even have you pee in your pants. Guys, those 3 words I say every Friday. What are they? How do they go? Love, peace, chicken grease. Thanks for watching, guys.
Presentations.